Yo, what I do, guys, and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video we're going to be taking a closer look at the Tech Rot Encore update that changed Khora. Okay, now there's some good news, there's some bad news, but we'll try and dive into it, and there's going to be a lot of me talking here, so forgive me, but I'm going to try to explain everything with a couple of builds and show you a few different things that you can pick and choose from for your liking. All right, I'm here for you guys. Let's go ahead and break everything down. So let's go and start off with what actually happened and what is the change. Well, the way that it works now is Whipclaw in the past was a Pseudo-Exalted ability. Nowadays though, it's got its own little area to modify for it. You see, in the past, Pseudo-Exalted abilities were abilities like Whipclaw that essentially would benefit more damage from the mods that you would have on your melee weapon, right? But again, there wasn't really anything, if you look there, it doesn't tell you that. There was nothing in the game that told you that, right? So what DE has done in order to make it less complex is they've removed the hidden structure of it and made it more like easier to see, right? So you can find it. Oh, it's right here. There you go. Okay, so now I will do more damage still with melee mods, but instead of it being equipped on my melee weapon here, it's now going to be equipped on this. Does that make sense? That's basically the change. But because of this change, not only has it nerfed the build that previously exists, it's also created a new build that people are now running as well, right? So let's go ahead and go in towards that. So first of all, how did it nerf it? So when it came towards what Khora used to go ahead and use, let me go and show you my old build, and the way that I used to go ahead and use my old build right now is, whoops, sorry, this is one. This was the old build that I used to go and use. All of the mods. Now, the base stats of the weapon never carried over, okay? So ignore the base stats, but this mod, this, you get the idea. These carried over, including this ribbon, right? This is important because ribbons carried over. With the Whipclaw now, ribbons do not carry over. You can see like, oh, well, hang on a second. That's a lot of extra damage you've just lost. See where I'm going? This is where the nerf comes in. So in terms of like the overall build that you would typically run for Khora, which was like a critical kind of Whipclaw build, that is less strong now. Okay, it's weaker. Why did I say less strong? It's weaker now. That's what's happened. To like condense this down. Right now, you can still use the things like exposure and whatnot, but on this build and like Arcanes and everything, things like melee influence wouldn't carry over. You might see where I'm going with this now. So now we click on the Whipclaw, there's new builds. Things like particular Arcanes that didn't work previously are now working now because of the way that it's opened itself up to allow for these to carry over, right? So enter out an old age, enter in a new age. So again, let's talk about like the nerf. Forgive me, I kind of jumping ahead of myself. So not only do ribbons not carry over anymore, but things like evolutions, these here on Incarnon weapons like the Magister, also do not carry over. So that's an extra 16% base critical chance I've now lost, and a 1x critical damage multiplier I've also lost. Furthermore, when it comes towards heavy blades, which Magister is a heavy blade, I'll put the text on screen here, there is a operator arcane you can go and equip called Magus Aggress. The idea is when you're an operator and you melee, it will then transfer you straight into Warframe, and then it will proc Magus Aggress. Magus Aggress would give you a 300% critical damage multiplier, or in this case, a 3x critical damage multiplier. So not only did I lose a 1x critical damage here, I also lost a 3x, totaling up to 400% critical damage I have also lost for the critical builds. That's where she's nerfed, all right? 3 things, Riven, Evolutions, and Magus Aggress is a lot of damage to go ahead and lose, not just for her, but for Atlas, for Excalibur, and for Gara, okay? It's a little bit tragic, that's just how it goes. But like I said, it's opened up other areas, so let's go and talk about the other areas. And for those also wondering, don't worry, I've also got a critical build for you, so I can still show you what's going to run, even though it might not be as strong as it once was, I can still go and show you how it still works. So, entering a new age, this is going to be the new Whipclaw build that we're going to be using, but only in a run and gun format. What I mean by this is Whipclaw in the past, although it was still good paired with Primus and still could go and do good numbers, it was better to use with her Strangledome Augment, right? Well, just in case you don't know about this, melee influence doesn't synergize with Pilfering Strangledome. So Pilfering Strangledome as an augment basically just means whenever you kill an enemy inside the dome, you would get extra loot. Well, melee influence won't just kill enemies inside the dome, it will also reach outside of the dome within 20 meters away and also kill those enemies as well before they've even entered the dome. Long story short, if you're running the Pilfering Strangledome setup, you cannot run a melee influence setup. It's counterintuitive. You're killing enemies before they even reach the dome. Does that make sense? So keep that in mind. Now, as for this build in general, what you need to go know if you don't understand how these work, just really quickly, you want to go and pop this Arcane on. It basically just says whenever electric status procs from this whip, so whenever I go and whip it and it procs electric, it then also has a 20% chance to proc all of the other elements on the Arcane and spread that to enemies within 18 meters. And then that's guaranteed for the next 18 seconds until it unexpires, until it expires, and then it's going to keep whipping again until I go and get the 20% chance to proc again, and then the cycle continues. So from there, the main things you need to go and know is when I hover over status, you see the electricity there, that needs to be the highest number. It doesn't, just ignore everything else right now. That needs to be the highest number. Electric is the most important thing. So make sure that you bump that up. In this case, I've got a 60/60 mod and a 90% mod. Put those in. From there onwards, I don't care how you want to go and mod it. It's up to you. Everyone, I've seen so many different melee influence builds at this point right now that it's up to you how you want to go and mod it. My advice and what I like to go and do, I like to go and run gas because it also does a lot of double dipping, but that's if I'm running like raw builds or faction mods. But gas also just has a bit of lingering damage as well, which also just works really, really well. So I go and run gas here. If you want to go and run blast or you want to go and run viral, you can. Then I go and run the radiation mods. The reason why I'm running the radiation mod here and instead of running a faction mod is because I'm not always going to be going against the faction for the double dipping. So the double dipping would actually the electric proc basically ticks into itself twice, thus doubling its damage. It doesn't really tick into itself twice, but imagine it like that. That's why we call it. But it's going to basically do double the damage. But I'm killing them so damn fast that I don't really need this, and if I didn't need it I can go and show you what it looked like. But I can go and put radiation on here. Radiation actually helps my survival as well, so if I didn't go ahead and happen to kill them for whatever reason, then when they're done being chain lightnings, they're now just proc with radiation as well, so they're going to start shooting each other. So from a survival aspect, because Khora was always known as being quite squishy, radiation's good here. If you want more damage, that would be better. Faction mods would be better, but obviously make sure the faction is the right faction you're going against, which is why, like I said, I can't bother to keep modding it, so I'm just gonna go and do this. All right, then Galvanized Elementalist is self-explanatory. Basically, whenever you're doing dots, yeah, like electric / heat, toxin, they do more damage. Right, that's all you need to go and know. Very easy to go and understand. We've been going to scale it, and because I'm doing lots of different elements over here that you can go and see, I can go and get a bit more damage because Condition Overload is just more damage on that initial hit, which is great. All right, so that's basically what's going on there. Again, there's the critical one, but we'll get to that in a moment. So now I'm going to go and match a build with that. So here's the Whipfluence build. Let me go ahead and talk about what I've got and how it all works on the left-hand side. Really quickly, you'll notice that stats look kind of interesting, right? It's 100% duration, 100% efficiency, 200% range, 50% strength. What you need to go ahead and know, and what's most important, is range. Just make sure minimum you have 200%. I don't care how you get it, just get 200% minimum, all right? Reason for that is because when it comes towards Whipclaw, it scales off two things here. You see where it says 20 meters and 10 meters. The first one says range, that's 20 meters. The second one says radius, that's 10 meters. Basically, radius, so range is how far the whip reaches. Radius is, if you see inside that little, you see that there? You can see it there whenever it goes to hit. It's like a little kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a radius. It's like a explosion almost, if you will. Forgive me, I'm rambling. Anyways, that's 10 meters. That caps at 200%, right? So you can't go any higher on the radius. I'm not gonna lie to you, the radius is the most important part, all right? So I've just capped mine at 200% to try and show you guys what it would look like. Can I go over 200%? Yeah, absolutely. There's no harm in you going over. Do it how you want to. For now, I'm happy with this, and it helps me for teaching for future purposes and so forth. Now, strength doesn't actually matter an awful lot, and let me go ahead and show you why, all right? So I've got two things in here that technically don't need it, but I'm going to show you how they kind of work. Number one is going to be Whipclaw itself. Now, if you see at the bottom part here, so I can't be bothered to move my camera. If you see the bottom part here, it says 75. That's damage, okay? It's 75 damage from 150. So you're like, oh, that doesn't do a lot of damage then. Well, here's the Augment. The Augment says Accumulating Whipclaw. An Accumulating Whipclaw is a Whipclaw Augment. Hitting three enemies minimum, so hitting 3 enemies minimum will grant a 35% stacking damage bonus to subsequent Whipclaws. So if you hit 4 enemies, it still doesn't matter, just 3 minimum. So what that happens here is, I'll go ahead and show you one more time. If I go towards this, you see 75 down there. All good to go and see. Excellent. If I now go ahead and go over here and I go and whip a couple of times, it might not do more damage if I had the faction mod on, but I don't care about that because I prefer quality of life right now. That's now gone to 280%, so that's scaled. Now if I look down here, you see how it's not 75 anymore? You get the idea. I basically scaled it with the Augment, so I'm basically bumping that damage up, and then lovely jubbly. Then all my mods on the weapon itself will then start scaling, and you get the idea, and that's how you basically go and bring it up as well. So strength isn't overly as important. You can go a little bit lower. The second reason why you can go a little bit lower is because I'm going to be using something that fixes my energy here, because it synergizes with melee influence. Let's go and explain. Lyca's Hunt from Verona. So what happens here is whenever I go and kill an enemy with a melee weapon, they will go ahead and have a 50% chance to go and drop a health orb, right? Now that's great, but the 50% chance doesn't scale up or down with strength. So it's always 50% chance, which for me is great because like I said, I don't really need strength for the build. Furthermore, on top of that, whenever I go and kill enemies that are affected by 5 or more status effects, this ability continues to increase in duration, which means I only need to cast this one time, and I guarantee you I ain't gonna cast it ever again unless I run into like a nullifier bubble, or maybe I die because I'm being stupid. All right, but I will never need to go and recast again. So from here onwards, I'm going to keep killing enemies. There's a 50% chance when they die to drop a health orb, enter Equilibrium. Equilibrium's now going to pick up the health orb and give me a little bit of energy back every single time, which with so much energy, you ready for the chain reaction of synergy here? With so much energy, whenever I'm Whipclawing, it's going to cost me 25 energy to go and Whipclaw, but because I'm Whipclawing so often, Brief Respite comes in here. So Brief Respite on ability casts, which I'm going to be doing a lot, squad converts 150% of energy spent to shields, right? So energy is now going to go ahead to my survival, which also stacks with this, so it's 40%. So it's 190% I'm now getting on top of this. So it's almost close to like 50 energy or 50 shields per cast, almost. It's like 45 or something, I think it is. I think it's around there. So every time I'm casting, I'm getting shields back. I can store all of those shields with a prime redirection, which allows me to go and have a bigger store over here. Now, I will actually be over 2.5 seconds of invulnerability, but I don't know if you've noticed, I've just formed her because I need to go and change something. I wanted to go and do it, whatever, but I've just formed her, so this would actually be a little bit higher right now. She's just currently unranked, so forgive me. I do actually get 2.5 seconds of vulnerability, which as you can imagine is going to be quite nice, because with 2.5 seconds of vulnerability, I can also go ahead and pair it up with rolling guards. So once that expires, I get 3 seconds. So I've got 5.5 seconds of invulnerability if I pair those correctly and do them at the right time as well, which this also removes any kind of statuses on me that I don't want on me, heat ticks, toxin ticks, whatever it may be. I can go just roll them off and make sure that I'm okay. Now, the other reason why this is good for the melee influence setup is because, like how I said with the Whipclaw earlier, if I go ahead and whip them and they're all being chain lightning, they're not shooting me, are they? They're too busy like doing the Harlem Shake chain lightning, and with the radiation proc that also happens afterwards, they're gonna be shooting each other, which means I just basically get a free way to go and build up shields. The only people who might be more of a threat or more of a target are gonna be people who aren't as affected by that at the time. For example, Eximus units, or maybe Acolytes, or Thrax units, or Sentients, whatever it may be, because they might either the Overguard or whatever, or a little bit more immunity. You get the idea. But slowly, as I continue hitting them and whittle them down, they're going to be a bit more susceptible to that crowd control coming through. From there onwards, I've got Prime Sure-Footed. I'm not going to lie to you, there isn't really anything else better inside this slot unless you want to go in preparation, but ideally, I do want to make sure that I am just running towards danger. The other things that you can go and do are Sure-Footed. If you don't have Prime Sure-Footed, you can go and do Power Drift, but you don't really need the strength per se, but the resist chance to knockdown is also good. And you can also go ahead and consider things like Handspring, where if you get knocked down, you can get back up a bit quicker. All right? So that's all of that. From there onwards, I do also have the parkour velocity. So this shows you like how much room I've got to mess about with whatever I want to. I'm telling you, it's not a super like heavy build, as you can clearly see. You can put whatever you wanted to in here. I've just got parkour velocity because I'm killing everything with ease, all right? With absolute ease. Put whatever you want to, it doesn't matter. Now, Oh, you can also go and use Archon Stretch in here as well if you wanted to, because you are using a melee influence build. Archon Stretch does go ahead and proc off of the melee influence, off of the Whipclaw. So you can also go and get a little bit of energy back here. But I'm not going to lie to you, I get all my energy from this, so it doesn't matter. So from here onwards, Arcanes are up to you. Now, Mo Augmented is going to give me increased ability strength, which basically just means no matter what, I'm going to end up redeeming myself anyways with this. But most of the time I'm scaling anyway, so this just kind of feels good. Excuse me. And there's not many other things I can overly go and put in here. I could go and put Arcane and Pedus if I wanted to, but again, I don't need the efficiency. I'm not going to lie to you. This, put wherever you want to. Ideally, put a Survival Arcane here. Arcane Aegis if you want to. Nothing wrong with it. And then down here, I'm not going to lie to you, Fury would basically be like near enough the better one. But again, it's on critical hit. It's not going to happen as often because I'm not going a critical route. But again, 180% melee chance for the chance. If it does go in proc, lovely stuff, right? If it doesn't go in proc, it's not the end of the world. Like I said, these are absolutely interchangeable. Run what you want to, right? Run what you want to. But this right here is a pretty tasty little setup. So that's going to be the gimmick of like what's going on there between those two builds. I'm going to go ahead and put some gameplay up on the screen right now for both of these builds that you, well, the Whipclaw and the Khora thing, and you can just see like how strong this actually is and how effortless it is as well right now. This is going to allow Khora to get out of her little hidey hole where she used to go ahead and use the Strangledome to hold herself in, and now she can just run out there. She can go and start whipping enemies down. She can start dominating tile sets, and the KPM, the kills per minute, is really, really good as well. I think I'm sitting around like a 130, 140 kind of KPM, and that's without me even like overly trying, which is a lot of kills absolutely effortlessly. So again, if I switch on a little bit more, if my path was a little bit better, we could get even more kills. But yeah, there's not much else to explain here. Just basically press what, put on your Lycus Hunt, press 1, and just keep pressing 1 until everything around you dies. All right, it's just so effortless. Okay, if you need to reposition and re-proc your shield gate in and stuff like that, then obviously you know how to go and do so. That's why Rolling Guard is here as a backup. But for the most part, be aggressive, right? Don't be afraid, get stuck in and just wipe the tile set. It's lovely and easy to go and use, and it's fun because she hasn't really had this playstyle before, so it opens that up. Right, I'm going to bring you guys back here, and I'm going to go and give you an alternative build really quickly. So for those who don't want to run that, but you want to try and run what she used to go ahead and have, I do have this build set up for you. But keep in mind, it's not as strong as it used to be, all right? Not as strong as it used to be. Due to that, not only is it not as strong in terms of offensiveness, because again we lost a lot of like value from the Magus Aggress and all of like the Rivens and all of that, but in comparison to the influence route that I have from Subsuming and from survivability, it's actually less, it's not as good as the Whipfluence build. This Whippical, like critical and Whipfluence, whatever. The influence build is better than the critical build, even in terms of quality of life. Not only is it good for offensiveness and killing enemies, but my survivability is way better because of the chain reacting, whereas this won't have the chain reacting, unfortunately. I'd have to use a primer. So whatever my primer's doing or my companion's doing is gonna be my way of crowd controlling and helping my survival. And then the second thing is going to be yeah, enemies not dying and so forth and whatever. Oh, it's going to be the energy. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. It's going to be the energy. My Lycus Hunt versus Raffle Advance here is going to be a little bit kind of shaky. Now, you can go ahead and run Nourish with this and then not run Raffle if you don't want to. That's fine. So if you want to go and just put Nourish on her and then just carry on whipping, you can still do that. That still does exist, but yes. So because I'm going to be casting a little bit more often, I do need the catalyzing shields in here, which gives me a 1.3 full shield gate duration immunity, which gives me a bit of a fighting chance. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I have to whip so often in this one because again, this one here mass clears AoE, right? This one doesn't, which is the difference. This can chain react and proc within 20 meters. This doesn't. Okay, that's the issue. So therefore I've got to work on my survival more on this build. So if you want to go and work on your survival with Subsume better or better mods, you can do as well. All right, but it's still big damage numbers, which are always funny, haha, hee. So what you can go ahead and do with that one, if we're going to show you the Whipclaw build down here, you can go and see that there. This is what I'm currently running. If I'm running Raffle, which is additive critical chance, like absolute critical chance towards my weapon, in this case towards the Whipclaw ability, then I don't need to put critical chance per se in here. But if you're not running Raffle, you are going to have to put like Blood Rush or Sacrificial Steel or something. You're going to need some form of critical in here. here. Now I do have Galvanize still, which does give me critical chance, but I actually use it for the critical damage in here, okay? Because it gives me 120% critical damage. This gives me 90% critical damage. This gives me 60% critical damage. This actually gives me 100% critical damage, or in this case, a 1x critical multiplier as well, which is also quite nice towards the build. Now, if I do build up my status chance inside the build or anything else like that as well, this can also scale with it. But please keep in mind, Melee Doty is just a free arcane in here. You don't have to run it. You can run melee exposure, but I'm running a slash ticking build, which means I want slash to proc more often than anything else. So no, if you turn around and say, oh, but you can get more critical if you run it this puncture mod. No, I need slash to be higher than the others at all points, and I mean as far away from the others as possible. Slash will do a lot of extra damage when it scales of critical. This is free. Melee exposure adds melee exposure adds corrosive to this weighting, which means I could end up proccing proccing corrosive, which is not what I want. I want slash, okay? You don't have to run it this way. Like I said, you can go ahead and interchange it. You could go ahead and run just elements down here. You can go and run critical chance here, critical damage, whatever you want to go and do, it's fine. But the main point about this one is I'm looking for slash ticks. This double dips slash ticks silly, this double dip slash ticks, and this also increases slash damage per tick that it's doing. This is going to increase the amount of slash ticks I can do in one hit, hopefully, if the RNG is in my favor, and this is just overall flat damage. You can run condition overload if you want to. There's actually nothing. Do you know what, I'm going to do it for now, because I can also go and run this with a primer, so you can go ahead and see a bit bigger damage in a moment when I get some gameplay up. Now, speaking of primer as well, you could go ahead, whoops, that's not a primer. Speaking of primer as well, you could go ahead and run the Epitaph with this critical build if you want to. Again, this is like an older version of it. I'm not going to go over the primer too much, but primer basically just means that I'm going to go ahead and put a lot of different elements on really quickly, but more importantly, I've got viral on this. This is the one element that is most important to me. Not only that, but because I've also got the secondary fortifier arcane, this is also going to be nice to go and help my survival for the critical build outside of the catalyzing as well, right? So it's going to give me overguard every time I go and damage overguard with this weapon anyways. So I would get more out of it if I ended up doing actual damage mods, but I'm not doing that, all right? This is a primer. So in terms of how that looks, let's go and put some gameplay up on the screen really quickly here. Also, I hope you're enjoying the video so far. Please, a friendly reminder to go and like it. This is information overload right now. But this is how I used to go and look in the past anyway. So this isn't anything overly new. Like I said, it's just got less damage now. Nothing overly wrong about it though. You can go ahead and just run around and hit some big numbers and have some fun, you know? There's, again, nothing wrong about that. Just, yeah, it's still nerf regardless, all right? Like, facts are facts. Maths are maths. It's still nerf regardless, all right? But as you go, you can go and use Raffle Advance here if you want to run Raffle, and then you can go ahead and just start whipping away and whatnot. Secondary Fortifier, if you do have the Epitaph, do some primering as well. Run a Companion for primering as well if you want to, and then just try to, like, just get the biggest numbers that you can, all right? This is like a bit more of a goofier build, but in terms of like actual ad clearing, you can see the difference between what melee influence is doing and how effortless it is with every Whipclaw that I'm hitting. Off we go. Whereas this one, I'm just looking for like bigger, goofier numbers, and the ad clearing and the KPM isn't as high, but the damage numbers are higher. So it's a change right there, you know? It's a substitution. You choose which one you want. All right, I'm gonna go bring you guys back here. Oh my god, this is such a big video. Let's go ahead and talk about one other thing as well. I spoke about the Pilfering Strangledome, and I want to go and show you the Pilfering Strangledome build that I'm using in 2025 right now. I'm not going to lie to you, when it comes towards this is more for people who are still looking to farm resources. I just want to go and leave you guys the build here if you are looking to do it. Please, and I echo this, do not run melee influence with this build. Melee influence will kill enemies inside the dome and outside the dome. That is not what you want, okay? One more time, do not run melee influence with this augment. It will kill enemies outside the dome. You want to kill enemies inside the dome to get extra loot. So it's counterintuitive. They're friction, they're rubbing against each other. It's not good. It's not good. All right, censor it, it's not good. Anyways, but that's just the overall Pilfering build. I don't really need it for farming and whatnot, but you can go ahead and chuck it in there, okay? But this one just allows you to sit in the corner, put your dome up and whip into it and just look after yourself. Now, a few other extra things that you can go and look at here really quickly. For those who might be wondering, here's my Venari. So I'll go get my Venari build up on screen. She's one angry cat. For those who don't know, when it comes to Venari, there's actually currently in the game, this might be subject to change, and you might not want to go believe me. If you don't want to, you can go test it yourself. I can't be bothered to go and tell you. Please trust my word. There's only one way to stop her attacking, and it's the hill stance. So I know it sounds a bit weird. Anyways, this build here, she's going to spread an awful lot of statuses and kill an awful lot of things, contagious bonds, all right? Now, this claw setup here is going to enable contagious bond even further, all right? Lots of damage is going to spread. I cannot stress it enough one more time. Elusive posture does nothing to her in the current state of elusive posture and how it works. She will not listen to you. She will go kill. That is why she's one angry cat. Doesn't work, all right? The only way, there's a reason why this is titled Heal. The only way you will get her to stop attacking is to make sure that she is healing someone or something, all right? Then she'll be like, yeah, I'll chill out, okay? So this works better on a build like Pilfering, but ideally I have a subsumed off right now, which is not good for my Pilfering. Ideally, subsume Ensnare off for your Pilfering builds, okay? Don't subsume her off unless you want her to go off and go kill. She's super, super strong. You could just unmod her if you wanted to as well. I guess there is that, but ideally we want her to chill next to me and let enemies come towards us uninterrupted, right? I'm going to go and talk about a few other things, and then hopefully I'm done. Oh my goodness. So Strand Prime is going to be really good if you're doing the Whipclaws and so forth. I just want you guys to, sorry, not Strand Prime. I just want you guys to understand that primary dexterity as an arcane exists. Why is that? 7.5 combo duration. It's good, all right? So you don't have to use any of the primary weapons, but if you pop the arcane on, it's going to help your things like weeping wounds and your combo counter. It's going to help it stay alive for an extra 7.5 seconds. Why not? It's good, right? Other things that you can go and use are things like the Grimoire. I want to go and show you guys this. The Grimoire is going to work well on two different ways. If you go for the Pilfering Strangledome build and you're just looking to go ahead and keep lots of duration going, this works really well. It increases your duration. Therefore, when you put the Strangledome down, it stays alive longer. This one over here is going to be good for the critical builds. You do not need this for the melee influence build. I'm so sorry I've hit you guys with so much information. I'm actually genuinely really sorry. I hope you're following me. This is really good for the critical builds. This is going to go and give you an extra way of just getting energy, and there's also a secondary fortifier, but that depends if you don't want a primer as well, all right? So if you can sort out your energy and you're all good, then you're fine, okay? But ideally, primering with the Epitaph would just naturally be better for bigger damage numbers and better return. Again, I don't overly recommend the critical build because, again, it's a little bit harder to go ahead and utilize. As for weapons and melee weapons that you can go and use as a passive, Praedos is going to be your best in slot since you're no longer going to use melee weapons because, again, Whipclaw is the melee weapon. So Praedos for the parkour velocity just allows you to go ahead and roll quicker and bullet jump further and stuff like that. Okay, it's just fine. You can go ahead and take it as a passive little buff towards you. Focus schools is going to be anywhere between Madarai, Zenuric, and essentially a Naramon. Madarai is going to be good for your typical overall physical damage and so forth, which is going to be naturally inherently good towards you. This is also going to be good. Sling Strength is going to give you extra strength. So if you want to go ahead and, I don't know, whip harder or something else like that, or your Raffle Advance or whatever you're proccing, maybe you're taking a Ronin's Roar, you can do that. This is going to work really well with those as well. And of course, Void Strike is a good way. If you do go down, you can go and proc it and then go ahead and shoot enemies with Last Gasp and get yourself back up. Naramon's going to be good because of the power spike. Melee combo counter now decays whilst out of combat by 5 instead of just completely decaying. That's fine, but again, you can use primary dexterity on your primary weapons, and Zenuric is mostly just for in case you're struggling for energy, you want extra energy, then you can just go ahead and run this. Energy pickups grant 50% additional energy, and in a might, every 60 seconds you get a free ability cast. So those in my opinions would be the better free focus schools. Go ahead and run with everything we're doing. As the companions, oh my god, we're almost done. As the companions, we've got the Cheshire over here. Cheshire's going to work really well with the Pilfering Strangledome build because it's a loot build, right? Well, Retrieve is also additional loot as well, so you can also go ahead and try and work in tangent with what you're doing. And Resourceful Retriever, just basically anytime you're getting loot and picking it up, there's an 80% chance that that loot is essentially going to double. So as you can imagine, that alone is going to be a must-have, considering the fact that Pilfering Strangledome is a 65% chance increase as well. So lovely stuff, all right? But Cheshire works really, really well there. As for the Whipclaw builds, You could go and use the Rigger over here. This is going to go and use as a primer, which just naturally synergizes really well with Whipclaw because it's a melee, so it stays quite close to you. Arc Coil is going to zap enemies within 10 meters. This is then going to go and proc all of the elements that you've got on the weapon, so I'm going to show you that in a second. And this also just means whenever it does damage at any enemies, they can have a chance to drop in a health orb, which again is going to be great for equilibrium. So over here, then what you would go ahead and run is this, because you are using the zap coil. So all of the elements you see here are essentially going to go over every time it essentially zaps an enemy. Lovely stuff. Now, if you're not going to go ahead and take that, or if you're not running equilibrium, you can go ahead and run Death Cube over here really quickly. I know it says equilibrium setup, just ignore that because you can equilibrium here, but energy generator. It just basically means every time it assists in 10 kills, you can also go ahead and get an extra energy orb as well. So it's more of a flat version of it, but you do need assault mode because you do need it to attack. And if you are going to make it attack, make it use Hellstrom because it's a swarm of micro missiles, or you can use, I think, the Cryopod. It's up to you. It's over a 30-minute video. I am so sorry. And then there's the primer build there as well that you can go ahead and use. Oh my god, I think I have actually covered everything. I didn't cover everything. Archon shards. And then we got the Archon shards. So down here you got the Archon shards. It's entirely up to you as to what you want to go ahead and run. As you can see, I haven't invested an awful lot into her right now, but the reason being is because I wanted to go and tell you what you can use. So first things first, I would start off with casting speeds. Regardless, no matter any builds that you're using, the odds are you're probably using Whipclaw. It is so inherently ingrained in her that there's no reason for you to not consider casting speeds. Take it. All right, that is like the first thing you're going to go and do. Even Strangledomes will go ahead and just get that animation out of the way a bit quicker. The second thing is maximum energy filled on spawn. This is such a good quality of life. It allows you to go and set your Strangledomes up if you're doing a Strangledome build. If not, it allows you on the Whipclaw builds to go ahead and use your ability rotations and then go ahead and start running and gunning, but with your whip. All right, so this is really good. From down here, it's entirely up to you as to what you want to go and run. Here's my suggestions on screen here. You can go ability, you can go Crimson Shards for ability strength, because again it just buffs everything else. You can go Crimson Shards for ability duration, but that's more for the Strangledome, Pilfering Strangledome builds if you're looking to do a lot of loot farming. You can then also go Violet Archon Shards for the critical damage increase, but that would obviously only work so much with the critical damage build, so please go ahead and consider that if you want to go and run the Violet Archon Shards for that. If not, you can also go and use Violet Archon Shards to help you with the equilibrium replacement. You want to go and run at least 2 of those Archon Shards as a miniature equilibrium. I think it'd be like 40%. If you use the Tau Forge versions of them, it'll be a 60%, whereas equilibrium is 110%. So it's a much smaller version of equilibrium, but that also works. I believe I have covered it all. I'm so sorry it's a 30-minute video. Please genuinely forgive me. Love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I really do appreciate it. If you did enjoy it, please go leave a like. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. And if you think this video will help someone else, please go share it with them. Good luck with Khora. I hope you guys all enjoyed the changes, but give the melee influencer build a try. It's really fun, right? Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.